On today's podcast, I'm going to be reflecting on the championship reminders for every culture and what we need to remember for our own leadership, for our teams, and the organizations as this drama, and I'm going to provide some examples, play out right in front of our eyes again with these sports reminders.
Welcome back to the Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world.
Hey everyone, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast. Wherever you are and however you're coming to the podcast today, welcome in. So glad you are here. We are in Season 10. We have over 315 episodes now on the podcast, so welcome in. If you're new to the podcast, hope you'll go back, Google my name, Jason Barger, and whatever topic around leadership, culture, mindset, communication, accountability, trust, whatever it is that you're looking for, and chances are that you're going to find something in those 315 episodes. There's also so many great conversations that I've had with friends, thought leaders, other folks from around the world that I know you will appreciate. So thanks for being here, and I hope you'll dive into that. If you're somebody that's been with us from the very beginning, then I also encourage you to go back and check out that stuff. So many great conversations and great content in those 315 episodes. So I hope you will check them out and refresh your memory with those. My commitment to you, as always, every time I go to record one of these podcasts, is that I want the listener, I want this to be a place for you to step back in your own life, to have some good oxygen breathed into you, and to think about the temperature that you're trying to set in your life and your work. So that's my commitment to you. And I'm always excited to hopefully create some content and bring some stuff to you that gets you thinking in some unique ways. Before we dive into today's topic, though, if you'll do me the quick favor, if you will rate the podcast 5 stars on whatever platform that you're using, if you will leave an authentic review in your own words, that really helps the algorithms for other people, other humans, not robots, but humans, to find the podcast and also see that it's something that hopefully is resonating with people. And also, every time that you share the podcast, whether that's with colleagues at work, on your team, hey, there's an episode that we ought to listen to and then talk about how it relates to our team, or just social media, friends, colleagues, however it is that you share the podcast, every time you do that, it helps amplify these messages. And I'm very grateful for everybody that helps, because this continues to spread around the world, and I'm appreciative for everybody that helps it do that. That's the point. So just last night, I'm recording this podcast the day after the game, but the college football national championship game between Indiana University and the University of Miami was just played last night. On the telecast, they talked about that the average ticket price for this game was around $4,000. And depending on the sources, because the official numbers haven't come out yet, but anywhere between 20 to 25 million viewers of the game. It was a fantastic game, and I look forward to sharing some reflections and observations, not just that aren't about football, but are about developing people and culture and the reminders of us as we have something like that play out right in front of our eyes. At the same time, the NFL playoffs are in full swing now and heading toward the AFC and NFC championship games. I'm recording this before we have gotten to that, conference championship weekend. So I'm coming to this a little early, but we're in full swing of the NFL playoffs as well. And just for some context, last year's Super Bowl had a record 191 million unique viewers around the world, the largest in history. And with those record numbers, a 30-second commercial during the Super Bowl hit a record high of $8 million per 30-second spot. So if you wanted to advertise in the Super Bowl, and I'm guessing this year it'll be even more, but a 30-second advertisement cost $8 million because of the massive viewership that the Super Bowl brings in. People are watching, and capturing our attention is big business. This year, they expect those numbers to continue to climb. Clearly, people are watching these games, and the drama of these competitive sports are playing out right in front of all of us. Coaches and organizations relying on their leadership to engage their talent, create a team culture that plays for each other, and the ultimate goal, and is, as they're pursuing this, championship, this ultimate goal, and then are they able to execute under pressure? And each year it plays out right in front of all of us, right in front of our own eyes. Again, 191 million people viewing the Super Bowl, or millions and millions of people watching that college football national championship game last night. Every year it plays out right in front of us, and it provides reminders again for every leader, every team, and every organization on the planet outside of sports. So on today's podcast, I'm going to be reflecting on the championship reminders for every culture and what we need to remember for our own leadership, for our teams, and the organizations as this drama, and I'm going to provide some examples, play out right in front of our eyes again with these sports reminders. But before we dive into today's podcast, let's pause, take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Many teams and organizations right now are realizing that they need to do both. They need to engage the minds and hearts of their people in person, where everyone in the room can experience the energy of congregating together and find clarity for the road ahead. And they also need to continue to find ways to engage the minds and hearts of their people virtually, with those who are working remotely or at a distance. So, if you are in the process of planning your next team meeting, company all-hands event, conference, or culture summit, and are looking for support with a powerful keynote speech, facilitated team conversations that are the currency for change, or deeper development on leadership mindset and an intentional strategy for the culture you're trying to create, I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon.
Again, each year the reminders to us all are right in front of us as we watch these teams at the highest levels of competition compete for championships. We see the coaching, we see the leadership, we see the cultures of the teams, the strategy, and certainly the execution playing out right in front of our eyes. So just some quick reflections from my own eyes last night as I watched the Indiana University win the national championship. Let me say that again. Indiana University winning the national championship in college football. We just witnessed something that is truly unbelievable. And when I say that, that term unbelievable gets thrown around way too loosely in the world today. But this story truly is unbelievable. If even 2 years ago, only 2 years ago, someone would have said that Indiana, one of the most historic losing programs in NCAA history, was going to win the national championship, the person making that claim would have been openly mocked, laughed at, and most people would have called them a lunatic. The rise of this Indiana program over the last 2 years and the story that they have now created is truly unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. 16-0, The last team to go 16-0 and win the national championship was Yale back in the 1800s. This is truly a remarkable thing that we've just witnessed. So as I was watching this, and again, reflecting on these reminders that play out right in front of us with the college football national championship playoffs and games, the current NFL playoffs, I see these reminders that play out right in front of all these people that, again, millions and millions of people around the globe are captivated by. And yet sometimes I want to make sure that we don't miss these terrific reminders that are cultural reminders for every leader, team, and organization on the planet. And so here are a few reminders that played out right in front of our eyes. The first thing is a reminder about belief. If you told, again, any of us that Indiana University was going to be playing for the national championship, any sane human being would have said, you're crazy. One of the most losing schools in college football history before the last 2 years. Historically, they've only won about an average of 42% of their games in their history. They've been a losing football organization for decades. This is why what head coach Kurt Cignetti and his staff have done at Indiana will go down as one of the most unbelievable jobs in sports. And again, I would say outside of sports, it's an unbelievable job that he's done in just organizational cultures. And the first thing he said he had to do when he took the job was to get people to begin to believe that it was possible. He had to change the narrative that they were losers. He had to raise expectations, and he had to begin to build belief in each other and in the people on the team. The reminder for all of us in our own lives, on our own teams, in the cultures that we work and live in each day is to remind ourselves, is there a sense of belief in what you're building together? Is there an opportunity to grow that level of belief? Do the people on your team and throughout your organization, do they believe whatever the mission is or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish? Do they truly believe it's possible? And this reminder that Indiana again reminded us of right in front of our eyes is that belief is powerful. Connected to that, another reminder that played out right in front of our faces was about mindset. That even beyond that initial mindset shift of belief that is huge and powerful, they needed to, that had to change, by the way, in order to shift their future trajectory. But Coach Cignetti and staff knew they needed to begin developing, training, and leading a mindset that shut out the outside noise of what had happened in the past and relentlessly looked to the current day. The task at hand, the strategy they were deploying, and to not get distracted when things started to go well for them, the daily mindset became something that he and his staff talked about, that it was daily developing, training, and leading a mindset that helped their players and taught their players to not listen to the outside noise of what was possible, or what had happened in the past at Indiana, but to training them to stay focused in the present moment, to be looking relentlessly at the current day, the task at hand, the strategy, and to not get, and then when things started to go well, to not get distracted by, oh my gosh, things are going well. You've heard me talk on this podcast all the time that where you look is where you go. Where you look, your body will follow. I've done whole episodes around this concept and shared imagery around surfing and other images that help show the way that our minds work, that what we give our focus and our attention to is where our bodies follow. So this Indiana University team and the mindset that they've developed throughout their culture has been a masterclass in how to maintain focus from, when everyone was doubting them and even when everyone was celebrating them, that the masterclass was maintaining focus on who they are, what they were trying to do, and where they are in the present moment. It was a reminder to us all that for any of us out there that are trying to build championship cultures and whatever it is that you do, what are we giving our attention to each day? What are the mindsets that we're developing? And what are we feeding in ourselves and others? Because where we look, our bodies will follow. So what are the mindsets? A reminder again to all of us, what are the mindsets that we are developing each day with the people around us? Another reminder that played out right in front of all of us was around talent retention and talent recruitment. In these complex days of the Wild West as it relates to college athletics right now, with no real rules and boundaries and the whole emergence of name, image, and likeness, the NIL era, there are very few guidelines, and even, beginning to the playing field around compensating for talent. None of it is clear or the same. Indiana reminded all of us again that winning a championship doesn't require all the highest priced talent or flashy names, which sometimes, again, we need to be reminded of. Don't get me wrong, they invested in their people and at unprecedented levels for their school, thanks to their early success last year and the backing by famous alums like Mark Cuban. But their investment was still a fraction of what traditional big schools like Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon, Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M, Michigan spent. As you look at it, again, Indiana raised their level of investment at unprecedented levels, but still at a fraction of what some of these big traditional powerhouses have been. Indiana knew they needed to make key investments in their talent for sure, but they also knew that culture was their greatest competitive advantage. They were able to find undervalued players and attract others that wanted to be a part of what they were building. On this year's national championship team, they said this last night in the telecast, on Indiana's roster, there were only 8 players that coming out of high school were rated 4 stars by recruiting services. 5 stars is the most. They didn't have any 5-star players, but they had 8 4-star players. In the most recent national championship years, the other teams that have won the national championship, the least amount of 4 or 5-star recruits on their roster was like 44. 44. So the difference in the talent evaluation, they were able to find undervalued players. And yet the strategy that they took was, rather than putting all their eggs in the basket of people that coming out of high school that are 4 and 5-star recruits, that their talent is forecasted for what they're going to do in the future, Indiana took a different approach, that they went and found older players that had already proven performance. So not stars based on what the forecast was of how they were going to perform in the future, but they found players that had already performed at the college level and went and found them and brought them in. So they were able to find undervalued players and attract others that wanted to be a part of what they were building. It wasn't about money, flash, or fame, but about being a part of a culture that brought out the best in each other and aimed to accomplish something special that had never been done. A reminder to us all that research has continued to back this up for a number of years now. Money alone is not what people want. Money's got to be, compensation's got to be fair. It's got to be in the same ballpark, but money alone is not what people want. Some will always seek that. Some players will always seek that, and they'll jump from school to school to school looking for that, just as people in organizations do that as well. But they probably aren't, in the end, the people that you want if you're building a championship roster. The places that create compelling cultures that are, yes, fairly compensated too, they're building something that people want to be a part of, and those are the places that end up retaining the best people, but also attracting others that they want to be a part of. So as you think about this reminder that's playing out right in front of us for your team, for your organization, the right people that are in it for the right reasons, that hopefully are fairly compensated, but to find the people that are more valuable to what you're trying to do rather than just the flashy, forecasted, higher-priced talent, those are the championship cultures that tend to retain and attract the best people. Another reminder, and it comes back to this idea around just the concept of culture that plays out in front of us in the midst of all of these situations. But how we do what we do continues to be top of mind for organizations engaging their people and getting them all pulling in the same direction. By the way, that's what people want too. They want to be a part of more meaningful cultures. You see things playing out right in front of us like trust and hope. In the end, what people want right now, when we're in the midst of a very low trusting environment, you've heard me talk about the employee engagement has reached a 10-year low. Only 23% of employees say they trust their leaders in the direction of their organization. We're in a very low trusting environment right now. And where people that are experiencing leaders that build trust, and also leaders that get people trusting and believing in where the future that they're trying to create and capturing this spirit of hope where people are all a part of it, those are the people, those are the places where they're experiencing cultures that people want to be a part of. They want leaders and teams that help them feel hopeful for the future, not blind hope, but rooted in care, empathy, and authenticity. They want people who build up the trust by walking with them through the challenges that they're facing. So what are you doing within your organization to build that level of trust, that hope, and creating the culture that is around us? The last thing that I'll just bring up is that's been an observation or reflection lately is not only I've watched the college football playoffs playing out, but also these NFL playoffs that are happening right now. I scan across this year's NFL playoffs, and it's noticeable that there are some quarterbacks, some famous stars that are missing from this year's playoffs. Quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are missing at this stage in the playoffs. And instead, you see people like Sam Darnold, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, and Brock Purdy, the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. You saw those players in the playoffs, players that had had tough years and many doubters. You know, Brock Purdy, famously the last player picked in his draft the year he was drafted. Sam Darnold, somebody who's bounced around from teams and at one point had been written off as he couldn't play in this league. But they're examples of people that continued to block out the outside noise, to dive into their craft, to keep developing. They both had development still to happen, and to keep improving. A reminder to us all that if you or someone on your team is feeling deflated, doubted, down, the story isn't over. The story can be rewritten, and a reminder that we all are works in progress. Developing people and culture is the game we're in, and our own personal development and the development of our culture never, ever stops. Those are just a few of the things that I'm reflecting on as I think about the leaders, teams, and organizations that I support, and as I watch these championship games and environments playing out. These are the reminders to me that every culture needs to be reminded of, these things that play out right in front of our face every single year. So I hope today's episode got you thinking in some good ways. I hope it got you to step back and think about your own life, your own team, the organizations you're building. I hope it breathes in some good optimism and hope for the future, because that's powerful. And I hope it gets you thinking about that temperature that you're aiming to set in your life and your work. As always, I'll leave you with a few questions to ponder. What reminders are needed within your team and your culture right now? And what ways do you need to invest in the development of your people and your culture next? I hope you'll continue to keep tuning into the podcast. I hope you'll, again, rate the podcast, leave an authentic review, share the podcast, subscribe, all those things if you haven't done that already. And I'll just remind us that the best leaders teams in all organizational cultures on the planet, they stimulate progress by recalibrating their thermostat together. So remember, step back, remember, be a thermostat, and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.